Coming this fall from SJS Direct, Easting the Sands of Time. It's action, adventure, and romance in ancient Egypt in this fantasy flashback Easting series adventure. Pre-order Easting the Sands of Time today on Amazon.com. A couple of months ago, Lisa Bonet, one of the stars of The Cosby Show, said that Bill Cosby had a dark spirit. And I took a critical examination of Lisa Bonet's statement in a previous video, and I decided to come back and take another look at it one more again. And the reason why I'm taking another critical look at this statement, where Lisa Bonet said that Bill Cosby has a dark spirit, is it seems like Lisa Bonet doesn't really understand what a dark spirit is. Because when I take a critical look at the people she dealt with in Hollywood, they had darker spirits than your Bill Cosby, because I look at the way she was exploited by people in Hollywood, and if you can't see the dark spirits there, I don't know what's wrong with you. Because your Bill Cosby, when he had Lisa Bonet on The Cosby Show, it was clear to me that he was grooming her to become America's girl next door, and with the Denise Huxtable character. Because with the Denise Huxtable character, it looked like he was trying to make her a clean-cut, all-American girl next door. But because your Lisa Bonet could not appreciate the opportunity given to her, she wound up becoming spellbound and wanting that white acceptance and that white approval. And as she went on this quest for that white acceptance and that white approval, and looking to break out of being a Cosby kid and be her own woman in the vein of a white woman, she decided to go out here and pose nude for Rolling Stone, and then participate in movies like Angel Heart, where they had her in a sexual scene with an older Mickey Rourke, and also in other movies where she was appearing topless and nude. And again, Bill Cosby is the one she says has the dark spirit, but when I take a critical examination of these white men in Hollywood, it's clear to me that these were the darker souls as related to the way she was being treated, because it was these white men who went out of their way to exploit your Lisa Bonet, and it was these white men who decided to have her in these pictures naked and in these movies nude and in sex scenes with white men. But she calls Bill Cosby the one with the dark spirit. And this is something that I have to shake my head on, because here we have one of these biracial Afro-American Negro females sitting there talking about how the black man is bad, but it's the white man who is going out of his way to exploit her at every chance he got. Because once these white men got your Lisa Bonet in their movies, the first things that they had her do was take off her clothes and participate in nude scenes, participate in sex scenes, and in Angel Heart had her participate in a scene that was borderline pedophilia, because here we have an 18-year-old girl or a 19-year-old girl participating in a sex scene with a much older man. Again, very troubling, but Lisa Bonet could never see the darkness as related to those white men, and I believe that's partially due to the fact that she deifies and worships white men in the same way many black women worship and deify white men. They can't see that darkness as related to these white men and how they go out of their way to exploit black women, because every time there's a movie featuring a black woman in a role with a white man, she is the one oftentimes doing the nude scenes, she is the one doing the sex scenes with the white men, and she is the one being sexualized at every possible turn. But when it comes down to men like Bill Cosby, they have a dark spirit, even though I could clearly see from a teenager back in the 1980s that Bill Cosby went out of his way to protect Lisa Bonet, and he went out to protect her by giving her that girl next door image. Because when it came down to black girls, there weren't any black girls next door on television at the time, and he went out of his way to give her that image because he really cared about her and he wanted to present a positive image to her as the black girl next door, the girl every guy wanted to date, the girl everybody wanted to be friends with. But Lisa Bonet could not appreciate what Bill Cosby was trying to do for her, because what Bill Cosby was trying to do was groom her for the preparation for stardom, because it's the girls next door that become the superstars and not the girls who are out here participating in these hypersexualized scenes, because all the women who participate in these hypersexualized scenes, what happens is they wind up becoming blacklisted and they can't find work and they can't get any sort of roles because the studio sees that they have a negative image. And once you have a negative image and you become stigmatized by that negative image, it becomes harder for you to find opportunities at work, especially leading lady parts, because that's what Bill Cosby was doing for Lisa Bonet. He was preparing her to become a leading lady, because it's the girl next door who people want to see more of, not the girl who has been sexualized to the point where any guy can use her and abuse her. That type of woman does not really sell as related to America and relate to American film. So that's what Lisa Bonet threw away in her quest for white validation, white acceptance, and white approval. She wanted to be accepted by whites, and those whites used her, degraded her, and then discarded her. And when her career fell off, they abandoned her. And what they wanted to do, again, was destroy the black female image with Angel Heart. And that's what they tried to do. Unfortunately, what happened with Lisa Bonet was that black women at the time came out, heard about her in this movie, and they decided to voice a protest, and they shut that movie down, destroying Lisa Bonet's short film career, because they did not want to see the image of the black female degraded by Lisa Bonet. However, 20 some odd years later, white supremacists were able to go out here and be able to destroy the black female image. However, instead of using the biracial Lisa Bonet to do it, they decided to use Halle Berry to do it. And they started with Swordfish, where they had this gratuitous nude scene where she was topless. And then they went on to Monsters Ball and that sex scene, giving her the Oscar for literally making a compromise of her morals, her values, and her dignity, and sending the black race down the road to debauchery. Because as people followed behind Halle Berry, the black women started participating in the same debaucherous acts. But if it wasn't for Bill Cosby, looking out for Lisa Bonet, she wouldn't have had that role on The Cosby Show, because he was trying to create a positive image of black girls. Unfortunately, Lisa Bonet was too filled with self-hatred to see the love Bill Cosby was trying to give her by giving her the role of the girl next door and giving her numerous opportunities to try to reestablish herself and her career and be able to navigate Hollywood. But she couldn't see what Bill Cosby was trying to do. Instead, she said he had a dark spirit, not looking at the dark spirits of all the white men around her. Because if you take a look at all of the films she did featuring those white men, you can clearly see who had the dark spirit and who really cared about Lisa Bonet, because it was these white men who showed that they didn't care, because they put her in a position where she could be degraded, she could be exploited and disrespected. Unfortunately, Lisa Bonet was too spellbound to see that these white men didn't have her best interests at heart, and these were the people who had the darkest souls of all, because these were the men who had no respect or regard for her. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to trust on my SJS Direct publications, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.